Part 117. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1165. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. This system is detected as a first-time user. Please enter your username with a voice. The encryption system will automatically encode your soul's nature as the password. No setting is required. High-end, Garen sighed. Among the many civilizations he has experienced, the Mecha world is the most terrifying and technologically advanced. But compared with this thing in front of me, it is still much inferior. Obviously there is a mountain higher than a mountain. The name is Dedeo. Garen confirmed casually. The username is confirmed. The sword already exists. Please re-enter it. It already exists. Garen lowered his jaw silently. That's called Chixu. Chixu already exists. Please re-enter. Chixu broadsword. Sorry, already exists. Blood blasting sword. Sorry, already exists. King of swords. Sorry, already exists. Sword God. Sorry, already exists. Sword Saint. Garen was helpless. Sorry, already exists. I have all the knives, so let's switch to swords. All knives are available and username is available. Garen was speechless about this system. Are you sure it is the username Deaquanua? Sure, he didn't want to waste time. A triangular cone-shaped three-dimensional image suddenly radiated from the button in front of him. The white image slowly rotated in a circle, and a black lighthouse pattern appeared in the middle. Welcome to the lighthouse system. A line of subtitles appeared in the center of the screen, which turned out to be the text of this world. Then a white screen similar to a forum popped up immediately. From top to bottom are the trading area, task area, consultation area, and news area. 4 pieces. Contribution points are displayed on the personal user account in the lower right corner, 0. Galen directly clicked on the task area, which was divided into 2 sections, receiving tasks and sending tasks. Then he clicked on receiving tasks, and a large amount of information suddenly popped up. We will form a team to kill the little demons from hell, and we will discuss the price we are willing to pay in detail. Chaoyang Immortal Magic World. I am a middle-level disciple of the Immortal Sect, and I am in urgent need of extremely yin materials to make magic weapons. Some MMM. I am an ordinary martial artist in the world of martial arts. I hire masters to compete in the gym at a cost of 100 points a day. High-altitude exploration mission. Found ruins in this world. Please unlock the formation. The price is negotiable. A series of various tasks made Garen look messy. It seemed that there were various tasks in various worlds. There are also tasks required for making pastries, as well as tasks related to winemaking and planting. There are all kinds of tasks. Click on one, and there is a world weakening level behind it. Garen clicked on the explanation and suddenly understood. Does it mean that each world weakens the strength of the travelers who go there? -1 means it is weakened by 1 level, and subtracting 2 means it is weakened by 2 levels. He quickly entered the world of the 4 cornerstones in the search column above. He did not find it, but he saw information about this world in the user column. The level of this world is weakened, -12. All levels are reduced to 12 levels, the lowest limit is mortal level 0. Tisk, level 12, no wonder he's so perverted. This suppression is no longer an ordinary pervert. Garen estimated that Kong Xingxiu and the others' desire to hire experts would be futile. What kind of experts would be able to withstand this? With this level of weakening, can he still fight against the killer who claims to be immortal? Even a great monster like the nine-tailed fox, which was more than 6,000 years old, was weakened into an ordinary person, let alone other people. Garen didn't count himself, because people in the ancient Yin Duomu river system had to abandon their original power when traveling to other worlds and leave with only soul power, so they had to rebuild each time, which was normal. But it is different for other power systems. After closing the task section, he clicked on the new section. Exchange information in the Devil world, exchange information in the Fairy world, exchange information in the martial arts world, exchange information in the wild world, latest world change reminders. Encyclopedia of Forbidden and Dangerous Lands. All the densely packed information is in it. Garen only glanced at it roughly. There is also a consultation and help page in the news section. After clicking the galleon button and driving in, it was immediately like a chat room-like space. There were people chatting inside, and it seemed that they had reached the end. Thank you Benbenseong for your selfless help. I feel much better now. No matter how difficult it is, I am still a time traveler, and I must look like myself. Type the person with the username Carlos. Just work hard. Come on. Benbenseong replied with words of encouragement. Help, how can I get rid of being reincarnated into a piece of grass and growing in the middle of the road and being wheeled around every day? Zioxiako. Benben Bear. You get used to mourning after taking turns. Fishin Shinai. Help, my mother was killed. My father is still in the field. He has a hoe and 2 buckets at hand. I plan to fight with them. Do you have any good suggestions? Kill the whole family. Do you know martial arts? Benbenseong. No, I just leaned over this idiot kid in the morning, and in the afternoon, the whole family was killed. It's a low-level martial arts world. It's okay. It only hurts. As long as the soul is okay. Godzilla number 1. All family die. Ask me, does anyone know what it takes for soybeans to germinate? Dowdu. Are you going to sprout bean sprouts? Benbenseong. No, I just accepted a task. It is a compulsory promotion task for the instructor of the academy. Each person must make 100 barrels of bean sprouts within 20 days. The instructor said that as a magician, if you can't even make bean sprouts, then you might as well die. Dowdu. Magicians and bean sprouts have a close relationship. Benbenseong. You are quite weird. Apollo. Who would come here for consultation if it's not a weird and normal task? Please give me a solution. I'm almost worried to death now. Dowdu. Garen smiled as he watched. Compared with these miserable time travelers, he suddenly felt that his experience was not generally good. I feel much better. The most important thing is that I no longer feel like I am always the only one struggling to move forward. This feeling gave him a sense of belonging and identity from the bottom of his heart. Soon another consultation popped up below. Help, how can I kill a Balrog without harming human-level force? Snow Mountain. Do you think you are Ximenchawixu? If Wu Shang could do it, I would still be here. I wouldn't earn the 200 contribution points of a Balrog core by myself. Katan Chiu. My wife cheated on me, and my brothers teamed up to summon a Balrog to kill me. There was also a rapid life halo and a prayer light that my parents had just blessed. Please help me. Sushin. How miserable are you going to be? Your wife, brothers, parents are all working together to deal with you. Katan Chiu. I can't help it, it's hard to say anything. Snow Mountain. Hire someone. Benbenseong. Excuse me, do you need to add soy sauce when frying tomatoes? Food God. Katan Kaiu. Snow Mountain. Garen laughed while watching, and kept scrolling through the dialogue and help messages above out of boredom. After learning about the existence of the lighthouse, Garen felt more relaxed. In my free time every day, I constantly go to the forum to read various information tasks. Many of the tasks require leaving this world and going to other worlds. Traveling through the world requires contribution points to pay, and different worlds require different entry points. So he doesn't have any points to travel to other worlds yet, and this world may still have soul power that interests him, so he has no plans to leave for the time being. But it also greatly broadened the entire horizon. I also know that in addition to the Mother River system, there are actually so many various systems. Each of these systems has course teaching from basic to advanced, and of course they all require uniform contribution points. Garen also set up a martial arts teaching course on it to explain some basic martial arts knowledge, which is very helpful for some novices who have just traveled through time. And unknowingly, his physical fitness was also constantly rising. The nourishment of soul power, coupled with the internal training of sword skills, soon reached the physical limit of this age. In addition, the soul limit has long been raised by soul seeds to an average of 50 points, so after reaching the human body limit in this world, Garen's physical fitness has not stagnated and continues to make breakthroughs. As the days passed, Garen experienced novelty and relaxation that he had never experienced before, and his nerves that had been overstretched after experiencing several worlds began to relax. After such a boring rest and relaxation every day, he unexpectedly found that his soul power began to gradually increase the rate of nourishment. The soul power in the soul ring is getting faster and faster, more and more. It is obviously caused by the natural principle of relaxing and harmonizing yin and yang. And unknowingly, this world, which was called a plot by those who traveled through it, and a destiny that Garen used to call the general trend, finally began to progress again. In a dark alley somewhere in Suzuran City, Silver Chain was covered in a black windbreaker, a mask, and a hat so that no one could see his face, and he was sitting alone on the edge of the trash can in the alley. At night, stray dogs and cats barked one after another. There were only a few occasional pedestrians passing by the alley in the distance, and there was no sound from the rest. This is the slum area of Suzuran City. Usually at night, almost no one dares to hang out because the security is very poor. Silver Chain, a tall, blue-haired woman suddenly appeared at the entrance of the alley, staring coldly at Silver Chain, who was sitting there in a low voice. She wears a very high ponytail, her long hair is tied into a bunch and hangs down straight on the back of her head. She wears blue pearl earrings. Her narrow blue eyes give people an attitude of looking down at everything from above. Snapped. The woman took a step forward. She was wearing tight-fitting dark blue clothes, and her high black boots made a crisp sound when she stepped heavily on the cement floor. "It's you." Silver Chain's voice was hoarse and he turned his head to stare at the visitor. "You disobeyed my orders without authorization," the woman said coldly, "and you killed the person who was watching and warning you. I believe you should know what the consequences will be." "You want to kill me?" Silver Chain stood up without any emotion. "I accepted the transformation. You think you can beat me?" "Of course, it won't be me," the woman sneered. "Pa. Pa. Pa." Another burst of footsteps came from behind Silver Chain. He turned around and his pupils suddenly shrank when he saw the person coming. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1166. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Next day. A large group of people gathered around the alley to watch. Amidst the noisy discussion, several police cars stopped at the entrance of the alley and yellow cordons were pulled up. More than a dozen policemen squatted down in the alley and seemed to be taking some measurements, while someone was holding a phone and making some calls. Yurova and several classmates were chatting and laughing on the way home. The setting sun shone down and dyed the ground into a large area of pale gold. "What's going on over there?" a classmate asked curiously when he saw the crowd gathering here. "I saw a police car." "Did something happen?" another student guessed. Let's go and see it together and we'll find out. Yureva also liked to watch the excitement, so she and her two classmates squeezed in and peered inside. From a distance, Yureva saw a corpse lying on its back on the ground. The face of the corpse was facing his direction, and many parts of it seemed to be mutilated. However, the moment he saw that face, Yureva was stunned. It was as if a bolt of thunder fell from the sky and hit him hard on the head. For a moment, he heard nothing and saw nothing. There was only the man's face facing him in his eyes. That's a silver chain. The sound suddenly echoed in his mind. Suddenly he felt as if someone was watching him somewhere. Who killed him? A huge question kept surging in his mind. He defeated Silver Chain for the first time, but because he couldn't bear it, he didn't kill him in the end. The second time, he let go of the Silver Chain again. But the third time, if Commander Kong Sci-fi hadn't passed by, they might have really been in danger. Everyone could clearly see the strength of Silver Chain at that time. Who could kill him with such great ability? What force could send out such a powerful killing machine as Silver Chain? Why did someone ask Silver Chain to obey the order and leave immediately? It was obvious that he had won at that time and could kill both of them with just one strike. However, at this critical moment, the other party sent an order to retreat, obviously not wanting to actually kill him. One question after another kept popping up in Yurewa's mind. He couldn't even hear the classmates around him who kept calling him. I must tell my sister this news immediately. He quickly took out his cell phone and dialed his sister's number. At this moment, he suddenly felt another feeling of being spied on. Turning his head suddenly, he vaguely saw a flash of black clothes from behind. Is there really someone following you? His scalp went numb and he quickly started to make a call. The call was quickly connected. Hello? Brother? What do you want from me? The moment Uraja's voice came from the other end of the phone, Urawa breathed a sigh of relief. I might be in some trouble here, he said in a low voice, walking away to prevent the two classmates from hearing something they shouldn't hear. That group again? Vultures, my sister Uraja reacted immediately. Brother, where are you now? Her voice became urgent. Hold it on the way home. The last time we met that person, Silver Chain, he is dead. Urawa's voice passed over, and Uraja's breathing became obviously heavier. What to do with us? The two of them are just ordinary students. They already felt strange when they met the Silver Chain. Later, when they heard about the Vulture organization, the shadow in their hearts further expanded. If it weren't for the weird training they had when they were young, they would still be there. So that the two brothers and sisters would not be at a loss, most people would probably have been frightened into calling the police. Of course, it's not like the two of them didn't call the police, but the result was that the police officer didn't believe what they said anyway, and it felt like they were listening to a novel from heaven. If I talk too much, I'm afraid of being suspected of being delusional. What is their purpose? Urawa looked nervous. Maybe our every move is under their surveillance, and now I feel like someone is following me. What a ghost. I'm going to find my cousin. It's useless. Cousin doesn't know anything, it will only hurt him, Urawa said quickly. Mom's side is still abroad, so maybe it's not a big problem. Now it's the two of us who are in trouble. Then what should we do? Uraja was also a little panicked. We need help. Urawa calmed down. The other party can kill Silver Chain, but we can't compete with it. So, we must find someone who can actually help us. You mean? Yuriji suddenly thought of someone. Although we don't want to do this, we have no choice, Urawa said helplessly. Night. Kongjia Villa. So you came here to me. Garin sat in his seat, holding a cup of green tea and blowing it gently. I'm extremely sorry. Chief, Urawa and Uraja both lowered their heads in shame. We really can't think of anyone who can help us. We didn't want to cause you any trouble at all. Garin shook his head, non-committal. A master can still kill that cyborg that day. It's really tricky. You don't think that I can deal with such a terrifying top master by myself, right? Garen asked. In the end, I'm just a swordsman. He's just an ordinary person who has practiced well. Shouldn't he go to the police to deal with a murderer? The two ordinary people looked weird. They looked like they could kill a small mercenary army, but they cut off the silver chains and still called them ordinary people. If they were ordinary people, there would be no normal people on the entire planet. Then you are going to hide here with me for the rest of your life. Garen took a sip of tea and looked at the two people in front of him, especially Urivar, the guy called the Savior. As one of the four cornerstones, he is basically, I couldn't see any aura of soul power emanating from him. Dot. Dot. Both of them were speechless. They couldn't just say that they were here to invite him to join them and others in dealing with that master, right? In such a high-risk matter, how can one easily ask someone to help him or her and others to fight for their lives? Thinking about it, it's none of their business. It's quite interesting to be able to wait for others for a few times. The room suddenly fell into an awkward silence. Both of them were embarrassed to say their true request, but Garen was calm and didn't want to speak. Both sides were silent. The clock on the wall kept beating. Time passes slowly. Above a tall building in the distance, several men in black clothes and black trousers, under the cover of night, were skillfully setting up a black heavy sniper on the edge of the building's roof. One of them closed his eyes and looked through the scope. In the middle of the cross star, he could clearly see the two brothers Garen and Uriva talking. Through the glass window, the scene inside was clear and extremely clear. Garen, who was dressed in white, and the two Uriva brothers and sisters who were wearing jeans and t-shirts, were clean and embarrassed in stark contrast. Test his strength and see if he is qualified to join our vulture, a man in black said coldly. Leave the other two alone for now. We are not just cats and dogs that can join in casually, another person sneered. If it doesn't work, just kill him. If you want to join us, but you don't have any real ability, just go to hell. Are you sure? The person he was targeting asked in a deep voice. Of course, X2. The two answered in unison, as if they were twin brothers with the same voice. Then I'll execute it. The man holding the gun began to load the bullet. Garen sat upright on his seat, drinking tea slowly. Don't you think that doing this will cause a lot of trouble to me and my family? He said sternly, although I don't really believe what you said is true. The monster I met last time is indeed there again. It quickly resurfaced in my memory, reminding me that it was probably just as you said it was. Sorry, Uriva said, ashamed. I guess that the other party didn't mean to kill us, but it was more of a test. It's just that the silver chain almost didn't obey their orders, so it's the highest possibility that they were killed this time. What my brother means is that the other party's purpose is unknown, but he has no intention of killing. Maybe he doesn't dare to confront the actual law head-on. Probably, Urija guessed. Do you believe this kind of nonsense that can only be deceived by children? Garen shook his head and smiled. A person who can kill Silver Chain will not dare to kill you two ordinary middle school students. The two looked at each other helplessly, both speechless. This is obviously illogical. I think calling the police is the best choice, Galen reminded. In any case, since they choose to hide in the dark, they just don't want to be exposed in public, so since the less likely they are to be exposed, the more you go to crowded places, wouldn't this just make them wary? This makes sense. Uriwa's eyes lit up and he suddenly became energetic. He soon thought of something. But why are you not afraid at all, Chief? Instead, you look a little calm and calm. Shouldn't it be normal for half of the people to panic and lose their composure when encountering such a thing? He suddenly looked at Garen with a hint of gaze. Curious. There is no comment on this. You just need to know that I have experienced similar things before. Garen laughed. Suddenly his pupils moved slightly, as if he noticed something. It's time for you to leave, he directly ordered the guests to be kicked out. The two Yurova brothers sighed helplessly. Thank you for your guidance. As the eldest brother, he stood up and took the lead in bowing. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. Sooner or later, the truth will come out and life will return to normal, Garen comforted. I hope so. The two said goodbye and left the villa. As they walked slowly along the night streets, they all seemed a little depressed. It was expected that Garen would not take him in, and no one would get bored and cause trouble for themselves. This is a matter of course, even though Galleon looks very powerful. What should we do now? My sister Yurigi asked in a depressed mood. No matter what their purpose is, it will all be revealed in the end, Yurova sighed. We can only boom. Suddenly there was a sound of glass breaking behind him. The two looked at each other and immediately concluded that the sound was coming from the Kong family villa behind them. It's the chief. Something happened. Yurova turned around, grabbed her sister and ran back. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1167. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. In the living room, the glass windows were shattered. Garen stared coldly at the gun holes appearing on the ground, feeling an unknown anger rising in his heart. I didn't bother you, but you actually came to my door. His voice was low and he looked towards the direction of the shooting in the distance. He instantly turned into a white smoke and floated out of the living room. Rush out from the broken glass and go straight to the roof of the building in the distance. Not long after, Yurawa returned to the door of the villa with a tight chest, just in time to see Garen rushing out and running straight into the distance. I'll follow, sister, come from behind. Yurawa was the fastest and decisively warned, followed by Garen and caught up. He's coming on the roof. The man who fired the gun straightened up. It's good to hide from the gun. You are in trouble. It doesn't matter, let's try to see if he has the qualifications to join us. Hee. Vultures are not so easy to get into, one person sneered. It's up to you. The two little guys are here too. I'm going to complete the mission. The gunman skillfully dismantled the heavy sniper, put it in a black box, closed it, lifted it up, and headed directly towards the only exit on the roof. Go. Soon disappeared into the darkness. The two twin men were left standing on the roof, quietly waiting for Garen's arrival. Time passes slowly. Soon. Bang. With a muffled sound, the iron door of the entrance was kicked open, and it flew down and hovered on the ground not far away. It rolled a few times before stopping. A white figure slowly walked out from the entrance of the stairs. It was Garen, who looked calm. Who attacked me? His voice was calm, but it contained a hint of impatience. We all are. One of the twins showed a mysterious smile. Kill us if you have the guts, another person chuckled. This is what you said. Without saying a word, Garen pulled out his long sword with a clang, and the blade reflected a clear silver-white arc under the night sky. From galleons to the gap between the twins, a silvery white line instantly lit up, and the dazzling silver light was reflected almost blindingly. Spider! The two twins stretched out their right arms at the same time, aiming at Garen. Puff! Almost in the blink of an eye, their arms exploded like blooming flowers, and the entire arm scattered and unraveled into countless sharp blades like spider legs. The black blade tip is densely packed like a metal flower, extremely sharp and cold. And just when Garen's silver-white sword light suddenly arrived, two metal flowers ejected and exploded at the same time. Stab out fiercely in all directions. Tisk tisk tisk. The densely packed metal tip popped out instantly, just like the tool that was compressed on a spring. Garen's silver-white sword slashed hard on the black metal flower. Zheng. The harsh sound of metal friction and clashing sounded. The sword suddenly turned and shot out again, bypassing the metal flowers and slashing towards the left towards the waist of one of them. Interesting, the twins laughed, gently moved the metal flower, and with a sneer, a long knife tip popped out from the flower, directly blocking the sword light. The Galen's sword light changed again, and the metal flower also moved with him. Moreover, the speed of movement is far faster than Galleon's ability to change the direction of attack. Garen had to move his body, and all they had to do was bang their arms. It's useless, one of the twins smiled. Our spider arm is the strongest partial mechanization and has extremely strong supermagnetism. Don't you feel that your knife is being attracted? That's right, the other twin said proudly. No matter how powerful your sword skills are, without metal weapons, they are just useless, and metal weapons will be restrained by our magnetism. It is useless. With a swish, the silver sword light finally stopped, and Garen stared at the opponent with a slight frown. Every time his blade is about to get close to the opponent's body, it is disturbed by the huge traction magnetic force, so that the originally perfect blade trajectory is disturbed and becomes inaccurate. In this way, the sword skill will naturally be cracked. This is also one of the flaws in his sword skills. He pursues too much precision and perfection, so this has become a flaw. Since metal weapons are useless, he threw away the steel Japanese sword. Replace it with another wooden knife that you carry around your waist. Wooden knife? One of the twins suddenly opened his eyes wide. Are you kidding? Or do you actually have a brain problem? Do you think the wooden knife can break through the spider's defense? Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing so hard. How dare you use a primitive garbage weapon like a wooden knife to face a spider? Another man laughed wildly. Garen didn't care about these two people at all. From the plot point of view, all of the Vulture's people are madmen. They have been transformed into humans and ghosts. They have long lost their human nature and become anxious and violent. Killing like hemp. It's a waste of time to say more than one word to such a person. Just now he just used ordinary basic sword skills, but it seemed that the weapon was restrained by the opponent's magnetic force, resulting in no success. But it doesn't matter, just change the knife. He also made preparations in advance and brought a wooden knife. Holding the wooden sword tightly, Garen once again immersed himself in the level of swordsmanship and walked towards the two of them casually. I'll kill him. One of the twins stepped forward and showed a ferocious smile. Raising his hand, there was a trace of cruel killing intent in his eyes. Spider! Bang! His arm exploded again, and the metal flower that was originally blooming actually expanded to more than 1 meter again. The entire arm was like a large clump of black weeds, shooting sharp knives in all directions. He just waved his arm and hit Garen at a light and fast speed. Search for gaps and enter. Garen's sword flashed, and while his body dodged the sharp knives, the wooden sword lightly and accurately drew an extremely tortuous trajectory, passing through the gaps between all the sharp knives. It can be unimpeded. Laugh. The wooden knife stabbed the twins' chests and hearts hard. The twins were stunned, and Yureva, who happened to catch up from downstairs, also went up to the roof. Seeing this scene, they were also stunned. The cold wind blew by, picking up everyone's clothes. Ha! Ha ha ha! The twins who were stabbed suddenly laughed wildly. It's useless. A wooden sword is just a wooden sword. Even if you stab it, what use will it have? He ripped off the clothes at the area where he was stabbed, revealing the metal vest underneath that covered his heart. Did you see it? The latest technology, metal stab-proof clothing. Even if your wooden knife is broken, it will be useless. The twins laughed wildly. Garen took back the wooden knife with some frustration. His figure suddenly disappeared and jumped back, knocking the metal flower that suddenly swept over him away. It landed firmly on the ground with a snap. Garen glanced at the top of the wooden knife, and there was already some obvious wear and obtuse angles. I'm in trouble now. I didn't expect to encounter this kind of interference. He knows his own business. Now his physical fitness is more than 2 points on average, which is more than twice that of an average adult. Although he looks very strong, the opponent's physical fitness is stronger. After modification, it is at least 4 times that of ordinary people. Many of the key points in the body's hardness have been directly strengthened. It's normal for the wooden sword to look ineffective. Shaking the wooden sword helplessly, Garen looked at the two people approaching slowly and let out a breath. Looks like we have to take action. He waved his wooden sword in displeasure. Are you serious? You really dare to talk nonsense? One of the twins shouted loudly. I have a hardened metal film wrapped under the skin all over my body. If you have the ability, can you try to penetrate it? Give me a wooden knife? I really think you are an ancient person. Juggernaut. Garen looked at the two people in front of him. He really would not die unless he wanted to die. Why don't they understand this? He thought a little unhappily, and walked straight towards the two people with a wooden knife in hand. Sword skills also have their own realm. Spider. 2 coincident voices sounded at the same time. In the 2 clusters of sharp knives that exploded and stretched again, a light brown line zigzagged through, and there were 2 soft chirping sounds. Garen and the twins instantly swapped places, as if they were displacing themselves. It's over. Garen turned back and looked at the 2 of them. The twins seemed to freeze for a moment, completely reduced to motionless sculptures. What are you doing? One person's pupils were wide open and his breathing was accelerating rapidly, as if he was enduring extremely severe pain. What answered him was Garen's extremely pitiful eyes. I'm sorry, this is just the most basic understanding, not as advanced as you think. Then you were right just now, the twins responded with unwilling and crazy eyes. Don't you think it's cool to do this when using amplified moves? Garen walked behind the 2 of them and gently stretched out his hand to push. Bang bang. The 2 fell to the ground, revealing the extremely adoring eyes of the 2 Yureva brothers and sisters at the stairs. Let's go, let the police take charge of this place. The 2 of them won't be able to move at all for a few hours, Garen said casually, took out his mobile phone from his pocket, thought for a while, and looked at Yureva and his sister. What are you looking at? Call the police, he yawned. I'm going back to sleep first. Brother, Yureva rushed over and hugged his leg. Take me in. I can do everything including washing, cooking. I wanted to. Yurija also rushed over and hugged Garen's other leg. Don't be like this. It's not good for others to see it. It's a bad atmosphere. Garen shook his legs but did not shake the 2 of them away. He said helplessly. The Yureva brothers and sisters also relaxed from the tension. Now they saw Garen killing 2 vulture men in black with their own eyes, and they started to joke in a relaxed mood. After a while of fighting, none of the 3 mentioned calling the police. Now was not the time to completely quarrel with the vulture, so they simply ignored the twins on the roof and went home. Not to mention Garen's explanation to Kong Yuan and Kong Zhengxiu. After this incident, the Yuri brothers and sisters were 100% convinced of Garen. He honestly consulted Garen every day and learned sword skills. Almost assiduous to the point of piety. He succeeded in becoming a loyal admirer of Garen's sword skills, and of course he actually became Garen's most loyal lackey. In the eyes of other people in the unrestricted fighting club, such changes have fueled everyone's enthusiasm for training. Even if Garen is often absent from the daily routine training, with the Yuri brothers and sisters leading them, there is no less training volume. This also made the former head of the headquarters admire him. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1168. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Mom, Uraja's breathing suddenly became heavier. I'll be right back. She was participating in the training activities of the Unlimited Fighting Club. After putting down the phone, Urava felt that she was a little impatient. She called her sister before thoroughly verifying the situation. It was really inappropriate. He immediately called his mother's workplace to inquire about the situation, and then called a nearby aunt who often played with his mother to inquire about the situation. But no one said they had seen their mother. The trace of luck he held in his heart was also disappearing with the phone calls one after another. It wasn't until the last phone call that he was finally convinced that his mother was indeed missing. Vulture, he put down the phone, his eyes showing complete anger for the first time. Phew. Suddenly a cool breeze blew the curtains. The curtains were raised, and on the edge of the covered window below, there was actually a note with a similar color to the window sill. Urava immediately took a step forward and rushed forward. It seems that there is new hope. I hope it's a clue left by my mother. He was hoping. Pull off the edge of the paper and take a look. Go to ZT City and find a person who calls an owl. She will tell you everything, followed by an address. It's Mom's handwriting. Urava's eyes suddenly lit up. It seems like she must be fine. He breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he knew his mother was fine, everything would be easy. After walking out of the bedroom, he stood on the fence on the second floor with eyes blank. His highly tense spirit relaxed and he suddenly felt a little tired. I really don't know what's going on in this world, he murmured. People who seemed normal at first have become no longer normal one by one. If the mother's message is true, then it is likely that there are many things hidden. Why have I and others been trained in various skills by my uncle since they were young? Now that I think about it, those skills are probably used on people, rather than hunting wild beasts. There was also the vulture that appeared out of nowhere, and how did he suddenly become one of the four cornerstones? Everything seems more and more mysterious. He took out the phone again and dialed Lil Carden's number. At this time, the only person he could think of was his cousin. But unfortunately, there was only a busy signal on the phone. He took a long breath, feeling extremely depressed in his chest. Unexplainable events kept happening, making him increasingly filled with doubts. Suddenly, an inexplicable tingling sensation emerged from his chest. Is this? His heart tightened and he suddenly rolled to the left. Boom! A small sound of firecrackers sounded, and a small hole with white smoke appeared directly on the ground where he was standing. Gunner. It's a penetrating sniper rifle. The knowledge about various weapons that his uncle taught him when he was a child suddenly came to mind. There is a sniper taking aim in the distance. All Urava's fatigue was immediately swept away, and he entered a state of high concentration. Suddenly he swung the stick to the left and hit a vase. With a crash, the vase shattered to the ground, but there was a clear small hole where he was before. It can shoot through walls. It must be a thermal imaging site. The distance should not be far. He recalled the vulture gunman who failed to catch last time. After analysis, they also confirmed that it was definitely not the two people who fired the gun. Judging from the traces left at the time, there should be a third person at the scene, but at that time there was no, only two people were seen. Rushing forward, and then rolling on the spot, Uravar took an L-shaped route, and there was another bullet hole on the only path in front of him. The intense crisis threatened every cell in his body, causing them to unleash their strongest potential. After dodging two more shots in a row, he finally rushed out of the building and ran an S-shaped route towards the gunman. From a distance, he saw a man in black putting away his mounted firearm from a window of a nearby building and looking at him from a distance. Not far away on the way home, Urija was running over quickly. Chase, she obviously heard the gunfire, and she was prepared with a long knife on her back. The two of them rushed towards the house without saying a word. The surrounding environment is very strange. There should be a lot of pedestrians at this time, but there are very few, and no one can even be seen. It seemed like someone was deliberately alienating the crowd. An unpleasant smell can be smelled in the air. Don't know what it is. The two chased each other wildly and finally intercepted each other at the entrance and exit slope of a residential driveway. "Stop," Uriva yelled. The other party actually stopped. Turning around, the man in a black trench coat completely revealed his appearance. Thick eyebrows, big eyes, calm eyes, giving people a feeling of calm as water. "What do you want to say?" the man asked calmly. "Where did you take my mother? Tell me," Uriva yelled, suppressing his anger and anxiety. The man did not answer immediately, but looked at Uriva and his sister strangely. "It seems that you really don't know anything." "What do you know?" Urija slowly pulled out the knife at the side with a solemn expression, obviously planning to fight quickly. Recently, her sword skills have greatly improved, and she has gained unfilial confidence in her own skills. After all, she was trained as a child, and now she just incorporates many fighting aspects into her sword skills, and the essence remains the same. "Stop talking nonsense, let's capture him first." Uriva didn't bother to say any more, so he simply pulled out the short knife he carried with him and rushed forward with a single lunge. In another window in the distance, Garin and the nine-tailed fox were standing side by side in front of the window, each holding a telescope and looking at the battle between Uriva and the gunman over there. The nine-tailed fox was wearing a jet black top, a white skirt and long black stockings. Her slender legs stood tightly together without any gaps. Coupled with the youthful appearance of a beautiful girl, the combination of innocence, cuteness, and sexiness reveals a strange temptation. "That's Haifeng," she pursed her lips and said with a smile. "How is it? How is your strength?" Garin didn't reply and looked at it for a while before putting down the telescope. "What is his semi-mechanized part? Why does it feel weird?" "His ability is basically invisible to ordinary people. People who don't know the inside story will think that he has no ability at all and has not undergone transformation." The nine-tailed fox smiled like a fox. "But in fact, he has the most secret ability among vultures, the fragrance of flowers." "It's the smell," Garin suddenly understood. "Yes. It's the smell," the nine-tailed fox nodded. "And it's not a harmful gas or a poison, it's just a catalyst." "Catalyst?" "Yes." The nine-tailed fox turned around and leaned against the windowsill. "A special gas that can accelerate the opponent's physical strength consumption. It also has a certain hypnotic effect and is very covered. It's impossible to guard against him." Garin nodded. "His own fighting skills are also very strong. In this way, the opponent will unknowingly fall under the influence of his scent, resulting in excessive physical exertion. Haifeng is a relatively cold person among the vultures, and he is also a very special person," the nine-tailed fox said with a smile. "Special? You'll find out if you keep reading." She calmly and gently moved closer to Garin. The same faint sweet fragrance came out and slowly filled the air. Uriva punched Haifeng in the abdomen, but the opponent dodged it, but he himself was almost scratched on the arm by his sister's knife. The three of them were huddled together in the middle of the slope, and swords flashed from time to time, reflecting bright white light. Yulija's knife kept missing Haifeng's body time and time again, but it was always just a little bit behind. The same goes for Uriva's fists, legs and feet, as if they were acting together. He was just a little bit closer every time to just hit the opponent. "You can only hide." "Damn it," Uriwa yelled, a little angry. "He is a calm person on the outside but very impulsive on the inside. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed to save people without saying a word when his cousin was kidnapped last time. Now fighting like being played by the opponent, the anger in his heart is rising steadily. Hide, Haifeng said lightly, I just don't want to kill you. What is your purpose? Yulaja slashed down with his sword, but Chi-Chi easily dodged it. Didn't your teacher teach you not to use all your strength when chopping? Haifeng said calmly, without even a hint of breathlessness in his tone. You don't need to say it. Yuraja became angry and hacked even harder. But still couldn't hit anyone. Second-rate swordsmanship, third-rate talent, Haifeng commented coldly. Learning this kind of sword technique will only keep you at this level for the rest of your life. This guy is really annoying, Garen said unhappily. He was the one who taught him swordsmanship. Although he really didn't put much thought into it, he was actually evaluated as second-rate, which made him a little unhappy. He. Aren't you telling the truth? The nine-tailed fox covered his mouth and laughed. Who told you not to teach seriously? You don't even teach students in accordance with their aptitude. They will all go their own way sooner or later anyway, so I thought that teaching them would be in vain anyway, so I might as well just give them random guidance. Garen shrugged. How about you go up and teach him a lesson, let him know what the real sword skills are like. The nine-tailed fox never forgets to test Garen's strength. Since there is no intention to escape from the place where the plot develops, several of the time travelers with armed forces have become the targets of everyone's struggle. Among them, Garen and the nine-tailed fox are naturally one of them. The nine-tailed fox originally seemed to have a good impression of Garen and planned to absorb him into his own force. Now that there is an additional reason, it is even more legitimate contact. Garen also understands that whether it is Kong Xingxiu or the nine-tailed fox, the so-called sacrifice of a little color to seduce him is not just to make him work hard. He wouldn't be so stupid and swallow the temptation directly. As for taking action, let's see the situation first. He now plans to see what the soul power aura of the four cornerstones is and whether it can be used. In addition, he is going to do tasks to accumulate some task points and go to the lighthouse headquarters to have a look. Everything else has to give way to these two purposes. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1169. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Bang. There was a sudden explosion on the other side of Urawa's fierce battle, and the sound spread far away, immediately attracting many people to open their windows and look into the distance. It's about to end, the nine-tailed fox said softly. Yes. Vultures don't want to attract too much attention, Garen nodded. We should go check it out too. Want to get up close? Why not? Garen smiled, turned, and walked towards the door. Cough cough cough. Urawa lowered his head and coughed violently, his body covered in dust from the explosion. But her younger sister, Yuriji, was okay, holding a knife to the side and covering her nose. Haifeng disappeared. In an instant, a ball-like thing popped out and disappeared like a ninja. This left the two of them completely unresponsive. Why did this guy run away? Urawa said helplessly. What should we do now? Brother, Yuriji approached him and asked helplessly. It's okay, I'm here. Urawa recalled the handwriting on the note. ZT City, if mother is really there, let's go find her, he said seriously. Do you want to leave here? Yurija was a little sad. Yes. We have no choice now, this is the only thing we can do. Urawa smiled bitterly. Let's get out of here first. He took his sister's hand and quickly ran in the other direction. Too many things happened today, and they had to find a place to think about what would happen next. I ran across a few streets, took a taxi, and went home directly. Standing outside their home, the Urawa brothers and sisters were a little hesitant. They didn't know whether they should live here. It was obvious that the other party had found their home, and this place was no longer safe. Bring your money and bank book, let's go to ZT City, Urawa said firmly. We can go find our cousin, Uraja said hesitantly. Don't implicate other people, Urawa shook his head, this is our own family's business. Uraja bit her lip, her cheeks a little pale. Brother, I'm afraid. She leaned into Urava's body gently. Holding her sister in her arms, Urava's face showed unprecedented determination. In a coffee shop in the distance, Garin and the nine-tailed fox were sitting together. They are leaving. Garin frowned. Don't worry, I will come back, the nine-tailed fox said nonchalantly. I don't know the details behind it, but now that more of us have come in, I'm afraid the general situation will be affected and change, Galen said frankly. What changes can happen if you just follow them like this? The nine-tailed fox curled a strand of his hair with his right fingers. Anyway, you just need to stay here honestly. He now replaces the original long-term figure of the Unlimited Fighting Headquarters. He is also very strong in swordsmanship and has taught the Urava brothers and sisters a lot of martial arts enlightenment, but it is very difficult. Unfortunately, he was nowhere to be found later. It seems that he went to college after graduation and did not appear in the original plot again. Okay, since you said so, Garin also nodded casually. But that being said, he felt something was wrong when he watched the Urava brothers and sisters hugging each other from a distance. The relationship between these two little guys is a bit too intense. He touched his chin. Am I too sensitive in this regard? Waiter, 2 more bottles of boiled water. The nine-tailed fox here started calling for people again. But aren't you the biggest gang leader in the country? Why do you follow me around like nothing happened all day long? Garin asked slightly strangely. What do you mean nothing happened? The nine-tailed fox opened his eyes wide. Without your knowledge, I had just conducted a high-level information exchange operation with the waiter, who is an intelligence agent. Through 2 more pots. The simple act of boiling water explained the handling methods of 13 tasks and the review and comments of 2 major decisions. It's just that you don't know it. Do you dare to exaggerate more? Garin was speechless. Thank you for the compliment. The nine-tailed fox raised its head like a cute little hen and giggled. Actually, it's not what you think. I mainly have 2 very reliable deputies who help me take care of all the affairs. That's why I can wander around so leisurely, she said seriously. Really? Garin picked up the coffee and took a sip. Bang. Suddenly the door of the coffee shop was pushed open hard. A figure walked in that made Garin and the nine-tailed fox slightly stunned. It's actually Kong Xingxiu. This guy was wearing a white t-shirt and tight jeans, dressed like a sports girl, with long red hair hanging down behind his back. He glanced around the cafe with high eyes, and finally locked on Garin and the nine-tailed fox. Her expression was solemn, and her chest was a little out of breath, as if she was running here and was a little tired. You two, she strode over and sat down on the seat next to Garin and the nine-tailed fox. When did you two get together? You are so close and inseparable. You are afraid that others will not know that you are a couple. Hey, even the cups are the same couple cups. She held up the cup with a disgusted expression. It's so enviable and disgustingly intimate. Hey, how did you figure out that this is a couple's cup? All the cups here are the same, right? Garin picked up the cup but didn't see any connection between his cup and the nine-tailed fox's cup. She just loves to talk. She couldn't say a word in her previous life. She could only use flagella. Do you know what flagella are, right? They're long, thick, and hard. Before the nine-tailed fox finished speaking, Kong Xingxiu immediately covered his mouth with his hand. Okay, let's be honest now, I'm here to find out about the situation on behalf of others. What Kong Xingxiu can't tolerate the most is someone talking about her being reincarnated into E. coli in her previous life. Unfortunately, the nine-tailed fox likes it the most. Just take her as an example. How is the situation now? I heard from them that you have been following up on the situation. She looked at Garen and asked. It's okay. It hasn't changed much from the original plot. It's just a little different, but it was quickly corrected, Garen confessed. Besides us, who else is following? There is also an old man who lives on the outskirts of the city and is also a combatant. He wants to get mechanical transformation technology from the vulture, so he contacted me just now and wanted us to help Kong Xingqiu let go of the nine-tailed fox and said calmly. You also know that mechanical transformation technology has a wide range of applications and is a low-restriction technology that can be used freely in many worlds. So what the uncle meant is that we cooperate and then trade it on the forum, and we will get half of the contribution points. He has a beautiful idea. If everyone gets half the profit, is that kind of technology still lacking in the forum? Nine-tailed fox said disdainfully. It's not just an excuse he made because he wanted it. How did you agree to him? That man's strength is very good. I plan to use his power to follow the plot together and pass the information back at any time to prevent sudden dangers, Kong Xingqiu whispered. That's okay. After all, there are only 3 of us, which is a bit small. There are too few combatants in this area. There are only 5 in total. We are the only 3 who can really be used. The nine-tailed fox shook his head. Alas, if this kind of thing happened in the past, countless men would rush to do it when I give my order. Unfortunately, now I can only do it myself. Alas. Zhao Wenzhen, don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. My brother belongs to me, Kong Xingqiu, from head to toe. You go back and forth wherever you go. If you want to steal my things, you are not qualified. Kong Xingqiu's threat is weak no matter how you look at it. Oh, how disgusting is that? The nine-tailed fox laughed charmingly. Where are your belongings returned? Did you take that? I want you to take care of it. Kong Xingqiu's cheeks turned red. Garen sat on the edge and watched the excitement like a spectator at a theater. The nine-tailed fox's beautiful eyes turned. Brother Garen, don't be fooled by Ashwi's innocent appearance. What she loves is not your heart, but your body. This guy is a deep-seated sister-in-law. When we were together, we had a Fujoshi novel at home. They can all be piled up into a mountain. It's okay, I don't care, Garen said generously. The body is fine too. I care. Kong Xingqiu slapped the table hard. Okay, let's get down to business. Are you going to ZT City? I won't go, the nine-tailed fox said calmly. Garen also shook his head. It's so far away, I don't want to move. His lazy look made Kong Xingqiu angry. Snapped. I plan to go. Kong Xingqiu slammed the table. Are you going? Garen asked doubtfully. What can you do if you go? On business overseas. In the original plot, she went out at this time and was captured. The nine-tailed fox on the side added, our sister Ashwi is actually pleading deep in her heart, come on, well please come and protect me. She smiled sweetly. She is hinting that you are with her, but she doesn't say anything with her mouth, but her body is very honest. Is that so? Garen immediately looked at Kong Xingqiu and blinked. It's you. Kong Xingqiu's cheeks were so red that they were about to bleed. When I think that I will be taken hostage by bad guys soon, I feel a little uneasy. This shows that I am still in a normal state of mind. Is this wrong? Of course, it's true, but the way you express it is too arrogant. The nine-tailed fox decisively struck the vital point. Little brother Garen will definitely be happy to accompany you. As soon as he sees your ecstasy, he will be unable to bear it any longer. The nine-tailed fox's venomous tongue is not bad at all. When I think of the 2 of you enjoying a world of your own on the vast ocean, doing and things every day, you will be so happy and yearning that you can't bear it. Do you think I'm talking about the cute little Galen? Her eyes moved to Garen to the side. That's right, Garen gave a thumbs up and cooperated decisively. You. You too, Kong Xingxiu stood up angrily, her pretty face almost turning crimson red. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1170. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Us? What's wrong with us? The nine-tailed fox let go of his curled hair with a victorious smile. You want to fight me when you don't have a good personality? You are really overestimating your capabilities. Come on, stop standing there like a defeated hen. Use your cute little brain and show us what you have mastered. Condition. What's the situation? What's the situation? Does Ashwi have any special abilities? Garen suddenly wondered. You don't know, the nine-tailed fox opened his eyes slightly. The reason why Ashwi became the regional leader is mainly because she can master a lot of special information that ordinary people cannot master through her very powerful intelligence collection ability. Special information, Garen was really curious. Of course, Ashwi's special ability, but ugh, the nine-tailed fox was once again covered by Kong Xingxiu's mouth. Garen shook his head speechlessly, looking at these two good sisters. Although they were at odds on the surface, they actually cared and valued each other deep down. For protection, I think it's best for you not to go. Wait until we come back from ZT City and we'll go with you, he thought for a while. Don't be restricted by the original plot. You are an independent individual now. Not the original Kong Xingxiu inside, so your every move can also affect the situation. That's it, we'll send you there together when we get back. Okay, the nine-tailed fox decided decisively. It's up to you, Kong Xingxiu snorted. ZT City. The trading city on the seaside of Hongguo has a prosperous economy and more or less foreign-style buildings. It is the third foreign trade city in Hongguo. Hundreds of huge containers are constantly transported into the mainland from here every day. The containers here are much larger than the Earth, and each one is transported on a giant ship. The Yurova brothers and sisters poked their heads out of the car window with their eyes wide open, looking at the huge container being hoisted on the dock, with a look of amazement clearly on their faces. So big. That's right, the uncle driver chuckled, this kind of container is only available in ZT City. Other places rarely transport such big things, he said with a little pride. You are here for tourism. Are you still visiting relatives? When you get here, you have to visit the fun places nearby. We are here to see relatives. Yurova hesitated for a moment and answered softly. He held Yuriji's hand tightly, and the two sat close to each other, with Yuriji's whole body almost pressed against him. Don't worry, he whispered. The driver didn't wake up and kept talking about some local features. Soon the taxi stopped at the address on the note left by Yuruwa's mother. Number 178, Tingshan Road. It is a small independent bungalow, with a seaside villa in front and behind it. It is very Western style, but it seems a bit quiet. After getting out of the car, Yurova took out the note and read it again after paying. It should be here. Let's knock on the door. Yes, Yurija nodded, walked forward, and knocked lightly on the door. Ring the doorbell again. Soon there was movement inside. A woman in a white maid dress walked out quickly. He walked to the inside of the iron gate and looked at the two brothers and sister. Excuse me. Who are you looking for? She asked hesitantly. Excuse me, is this place? Yurova didn't know how to ask. Could he just tell me if this is the owl's home? It's funny, It's obviously a nickname written on the note instead of a person's name. We are the children of Ms. Mafair. We are here specifically to visit the owner of this place. Please inform us on the contrary. The sister next to her, Yurigi, reacted quickly and immediately changed her words. Ms. Mafair, let me ask the master. The maid nodded, turned around and ran quickly to the bungalow. Do you think this is the address of that owl? The nine-tailed fox stood in front of Garen with its butt raised. This guy is definitely tempting me. Garen resisted the urge of his body. He had always been absolutely wary of the nine-tailed fox woman. Compared to the slightly innocent Kong Xingxiu, he felt that the woman over there had a split personality. Patience may be safer. What did you just say? He asked. Did I say my legs look good? The nine-tailed fox turned around and made a pure and cute expression. It looks good. Garen nodded. Want to touch? Think. Then why don't you take action? The nine-tailed fox tilted his head in confusion. Because you are different. Garen smiled. The nine-tailed fox pouted and wanted to say something else, but someone was already there. The two of them were hiding on the edge of a large container, sticking their heads out and looking over there quietly. He didn't say anything when he saw someone coming. Garen looked from a distance and saw a fat man walking out of the bungalow. He opened the door unsteadily and welcomed the Yurova brothers and sisters in. Is that the owl? He asked. Well, his nickname is Owl, his real name is Garuda, and he is a weapons dealer. The nine-tailed fox straightened up. Oh, I'm exhausted. Kuwabai. Suddenly a man's voice came from behind the two of them. It was very clear and gave people a feeling of joy and eagerness. Finally found you. Garen and nine-tailed fox turned around and saw a man coming out of a red sports car behind them. He was tall and sunny, with a short-cut hair, bronze skin, and wearing sunglasses. He looked a bit strong, like a black man. He stared at the nine-tailed fox with bright eyes and rushed over quickly. Why are you here? You came to my territory and you didn't even say a word to me. The man walked up to the nine-tailed fox and said with a smile on his face. Are you okay? I'm chatting with my friends. The nine-tailed fox showed a sweet smile. Who is this? The man looked at Garen with a hint of hostility. He is also very young, only in his 20s. He wears black earrings, has a strong build, and has handsome and clean facial features, giving him a very handsome look. Garen stretched out his hand and shook his hand. He noticed that the other party's eyes lingered on the two knives worn on his waist. Red. Nice to meet you. The man smiled gracefully. Same. Garen also smiled. Although his body is only in his teens, his body has been strengthened by soul power and has become more than just the original muscles. He is neither stronger nor weaker than his opponent. Except for the height, everything else seems more oppressive. Although he was wearing an ordinary t-shirt and jeans, the two knives hanging across his waist gave him an upright and dangerous feeling. You speak very concisely. Have you ever been a soldier? I asked casually, tired. No. Let's chat if you have time. I served in the Razor Special Forces. You look like you've been trained too, right? He smiled tiredly, with some hostility. Ken. He was so tired that he couldn't wait to turn his eyes and look at the nine-tailed fox. You finally came to my house. Why don't you let me entertain you once? Otherwise, you won't give me face. Oh, I still want to go out to sea alone with my friends. Will it be too troublesome for you? The nine-tailed fox whispered, showing an embarrassed expression. No, absolutely not. With a beauty like you by my side, no man will find it troublesome. Ha ha ha. Red laughed. My sister and Nero are waiting for you to play together. This time I come here and I have the opportunity to go out to sea together. The family yacht has not been touched for a long time and it will become rusty if it is not burned. Reed looked cheerful. The tone said. Then why are you so embarrassed? The nine-tailed fox said delicately, her voice so delicate that Garen felt a tingle in his heart when he heard it. That's it. Reed waved his hand, brother Garen is coming too, let's just have fun. Where do you want to go to see? I'll be in charge of driving the ship. So at Red's warm invitation, Garen and the nine-tailed fox got into a sports car together, came to the Red family's villa, and boarded a yacht to go to sea with a group of sexy and fashionable girls and boys. The weather was sunny, and the big yacht also brought a few single-person motorboats. Along the way, there were occasionally people paddling around the yacht, yelling, and laughing loudly. Under the instructions of the nine-tailed fox, intentionally or unintentionally, the white yacht followed the Garuda businessman who had just set out to sea first. The weapons merchant Garuda also went to sea with the two Urava brothers, or in other words, they went to sea first. The nine-tailed fox and Garen followed behind. The two ships sailed directly to Squirrel Island, a small tourist island in the nearby waters. Wow! Wow! The blue water rushes against the walls of the yacht, turning into white water spray and scattering, very rhythmically, as if it will never stop. Garen was lying on the sun lounger with his shirtless body on, wearing brown sunglasses. His fair skin and strong and well-proportioned figure made the beauties passing by him stare at him for a few seconds from time to time. The nine-tailed fox is wearing a pink swimsuit and looks like the little girl next door. Her long hair is tied into a bun and her skin is more delicate and white than milk. Reed accompanied her almost intently, and the two of them were talking and laughing alone at the front of the yacht, and they didn't know what they were doing. Garen also learned that Red was a member of a large local family that cooperated with the nine-tailed fox. He had been one of the nine-tailed fox's suitors from a long time ago. He also understood that there was definitely more than one man for a woman like Juwiahua. In comparison, although Kong Xingxiu spoke venomously, her private life was very pure. If you look closely, he still prefers the kind of girl who keeps herself clean. As expected, I am still a good young man with a pure heart. Garen couldn't help but sigh, picked up the juice on the side and took a sip. How do you look like a teenager with your figure? A smiling female voice came from the side of the recliner. Garen opened his newly closed eyes and pulled his sunglasses down. What appeared in his field of vision was a dark-haired girl wearing a traditional and conservative black one-piece swimsuit. The jet black swimsuit is equivalent to a dress, and the skirt even covers the lower half of the thigh, giving it a very cute look. The girl, who was slightly baby fat, walked over to Garen and sat down. Her black hair was put down and tied up again. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1171. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. I am a young man, there is no need to hide this, Garen replied casually. He glanced at the other person's swimsuit. Are you dressed too conservatively? It's not in line with the style of this ship. The girl smiled. You are not the same. I have seen several beauties ogling you, but you are not tempted and just lie here and sleep. She took a sip of her drink. I just don't like too noisy environments. Same. Garen replied. The two of them looked at each other and felt a little relaxed, which is only when people of the same kind feel relaxed. Ah! Someone was thrown into the sea on the boat. She was a girl. Her chest strap was removed and she was thrown directly into the sea. It was obvious that the person could swim and did not resist. It seemed that someone was shouting that she was willing to accept defeat. The girls floated in the sea and yelled at each other, calling each other annoying, but it was more like being coquettish. The breasts are looming in the sea water, which attracts people's imagination. I don't like their life, the girl next to Garen said. This time they didn't force me to come here to make up the numbers. I really don't want to come. The same goes for me. If I don't have something to do, I don't want to come here to waste time, Garen shrugged. My name is Annie, what's yours? Garen picked up the drink and gestured for a sip. The two clinked their glasses together. At this time, the sound of yachts galloping in the distance came, and several small yachts surrounded us from three sides. Garen stood up from the recliner. He exchanged glances with the nine-tailed fox on the bow of the boat. Protect yourself, he said casually to Anne. Before Anne could realize what was going on, she saw Garen pulling out a slightly curved sword from under the couch. Hiss. The bright and sharp sword blade was slowly drawn out and held in both hands. The tip of Garen's knife pointed diagonally at the ground, and he slowly walked towards the direction of the approaching yacht. He. More than 10 black objects were rotated at high speed and thrown towards the large yacht. The winds from all directions. Garen bent down slightly, clang 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 clang. 4 consecutive white lights blinked around him. Like a white line standing up, it disappears in a blink of an eye. More than a dozen black objects were all cut in half and fell on the deck of the yacht. Only then did people see clearly that they were all black grenades. Ah! There were bursts of screams. Annie was so frightened that she hid behind her mouth slightly open and unable to close. Hide well, Garen said casually and looked towards the bow of the ship. Over there, a few nine-tailed foxes leaped forward and threw a gun from the bow of the boat. Then, I am in front and you are behind, Garen said casually, catching the gun. Change positions. The two of them ran to their positions in tacit understanding. Red roared loudly, and quickly reacted and began to command his men to fight back. There were also bodyguards he brought this time on the yacht. When they discovered the situation, they all pulled out their guns and fought back. He himself actually pulled out a submachine gun, picked it up and started shooting wildly. The wind ahead. Garen jumped up and jumped forward. Tisk tisk tisk. 3 consecutive knives rang out, and the 3 grenades were split in half again without exploding. At the same time, the pistol in his hand rang, and in the blink of an eye, 3 people were shot and fell in the distance. Good marksmanship, the captain of the bodyguard couldn't help but praise loudly. Reed's complexion darkened slightly, and his submachine gun fired more fiercely. There was a constant barrage of bullets from both sides, and Galleon was in charge of the bow of the ship. One person was able to suppress the firepower of dozens of people on the other side. The stray bullets that bounced back from time to time were all knocked away by him with his long knife. Every time he fired, someone would fall down. As he stepped calmly, the fire on the opposite side was actually silenced in just tens of seconds. The bodyguards watched for a while. Dizzy. Boom. A grenade seemed to have exploded at the stern of the ship. After all, there were too many people and the distance was far. The other party fired grenades with a grenade gun, which had a very long range. No matter how strong Garen is, he only has 1 man and 1 gun. It is obvious that the yacht is sinking, and there are obviously water ghosts digging into the boat at the bottom of the water. The ship is sinking, Red ran out and shouted anxiously. He was immediately hit by several bullets and was forced to shrink back. Garen's face was expressionless as he exchanged glances with the nine-tailed fox behind him. Kill people, seize ships. The tacit understanding between the two at this moment was astonishingly good, and it was clear that both parties were willing to do whatever it took to achieve their goals. In this extremely restrictive world, even galleons can only protect themselves. If they want to deal with long-range shooting, they can only use long-range shooting to fight back. The two of them jumped down at the same time, plunged into the sea water, and rushed towards a yacht like swimming fish. They were actually as fast in the water as on the ground, which made people stunned. Capture the nine-tailed fox alive, an enemy shouted from the opposite side. No need to capture him alive, kill him, someone yelled. Bang bang bang. The submachine gun fired continuously at the water, causing a large amount of water splash. Soon you can see a yacht. Garin actually raised the tip of his knife and tapped the wall of the yacht several times. He flew up and landed on the deck of the yacht. With a clang, the sword flashed, drawing a perfect silver arc. The three men in black who were guarding the deck and were still fighting back were directly hit by the tip of the knife across their necks, and they looked up to the sky. Blood splattered all over the ground. The headless corpse was still bubbling with blood like spring water. Kill him. Others on the boat turned their guns at the same time. With a swish, Garin disappeared from where he was, and suddenly appeared behind a person. The tip of the knife pierced the opponent's chest with a hiss, and then pulled it out. Then the second, the third, the fourth. Invincible. Just 10 seconds later, blood flowed on the deck, and Garin slowly walked towards the cab with his knife in hand. There lay half-lying a frightened pilot. "No, you devil! Devil! God! Help me!" the man shouted, and his voice stopped abruptly. The tip of the knife pierced into his chest, like the crispness of a fork piercing a steak. It's hard at first, but with a little force it becomes unobstructed. Boring. Garin pulled out his knife and looked at the other yacht. The nine-tailed fox over there waved a ribbon-like weapon and made an OK gesture to him. In response to the gesture, Garin slowly sheathed the knife. The sound of sirens was faintly heard in the distance, which was obviously the arrival of a maritime patrol ship. He knew that it was time for the drama to unfold next. You can't even warm up for this level of confrontation. He turned sideways and looked at the police boat approaching in the distance. The blue and white police boat kept blaring its piercing sirens and turning colored lights. It looked like a children's toy, which was a bit funny. The police boat quickly approached several yachts that were exchanging fire. A large number of police motorboats spread out and rushed toward the yachts. What is strange is that the attacker did not run away, but stayed there waiting to be arrested. The exchange of fire ceased. The police officers boarded the boat one after another, went straight to the yachts on both sides, and seemed to start negotiating. Reed, with a frosty look on his face, was talking to a chubby man with glasses. Garin and the nine-tailed fox looked at each other and quietly hid behind the yacht where they were standing. There was no one on the backside of the yacht, and the water kept hitting the hull, making a crackling noise. Garin leaned against the wall of the ship and fiddled with the inside of his shorts, and pulled out a black paper clip. "How is it? How is it?" he asked the paper clip. "There will be a situation soon." Nine-tailed fox's voice sounded from inside the paper clip. This was a short-distance contact device given to him by Nine-tailed fox. It can communicate directly through wireless signals and consumes very little electricity. It can be called the best among concealed walkie-talkies. Classic artifact. "What are you going to do about Red?" Garin asked with a smile. "What? Are you jealous?" the nine-tailed fox laughed. "Don't worry, the one I admire most is you. He is not from the same world as us. It's none of my business who you admire. In comparison, I still like Kong Xinkxiu's type," Garin confessed. "Are they really that unattractive?" the nine-tailed fox pouted. "But if Xiu heard this, she would probably sacrifice herself in a minute." Garin smiled, did not reply, and pressed the paper clip to disconnect. A helicopter is flying slowly in the distance. "Here we come." He leaned the knife to the side and played with the pistol that had no bullets. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The sound of the helicopter's propellers was getting closer. What is surprising at this time is that the police on several yachts actually disarmed Red and others and arrested them. They were still talking and laughing just now, but in the blink of an eye they all took action without any hesitation, and almost everyone including Red was restrained at once. "Take it back," the sergeant leading the team said with a cold expression on his face. "Inspector Wang, what do you mean?" Reed said loudly as his arms were pinned behind his back. "What do you mean?" the fat police inspector sneered. "You endanger the security of the country's territorial waters, you dare to resist the National Security Bureau's enforcement officers, and you openly kill people with guns and ignore the law. If you don't arrest you and go back and plead guilty, my job as a police inspector will be in vain. National Security Enforcement Officer, Reed felt chilled. He looked at the people who had shot at them before, and now he actually saw them putting on their national security uniforms. I immediately realized that I had probably been deceived. Tell me, where is the nine-tailed fox? Where is it? The fat police inspector continued to sneer. You, Reed gritted his teeth. Before he spoke, a helicopter flew straight towards everyone in the distance. Which unit is that from? The fat police inspector looked up at the helicopter. I don't know, we shouldn't have mobilized helicopters, a subordinate asked doubtfully. Not mobilized, the fat police inspector looked at the clear and obvious police logo on the side of the helicopter. Not mobilized. There will be our logo on it? Your brother is an idiot, can't you understand the pattern? He yelled. These subordinates haven't reacted yet. Bang bang bang. Suddenly, the helicopter opened fire, the cannon above roared loudly, and two clearly visible cannon bullet chains were pulled out. A dark thing fell from the plane. It fell into the sea with a loud bang and seemed to sink directly. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1172. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Everyone shoots, the fat police inspector shouted, while he went to find a bunker. Whoosh, a police officer fired a shot from a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher at the helicopter. With a bang, the rocket launcher exploded in mid-air. Below, a tall black figure rose from the water. It was a black metal robot 2 to 3 meters high. In other words, it was a cyborg, but this cyborg had a much larger area of transformation than the ones Garen had encountered before. Except for half of his head, it seemed that all parts of his body had been transformed into a metal body. The most conspicuous thing is that there is a small white flag erected behind this guy's head, with one word written on it, Dragon. Dragon, Garen looked over through the gap from a distance. When he saw this cyborg appearing, he suddenly asked with some doubts. Is it him? The legendary mechanical Greymon. What a cold sense of humor. The nine-tailed fox's voice came from the paperclip. As much as I hate to admit it, it's true that he is the one we are waiting for. The vulture's Tyrannosaurus. In other words, these police officers who came earlier were actually fake, Garen asked in confusion. It's not fake, it's actually them. Boom. The nine-tailed fox's voice was buried under the violent explosion and could not be heard clearly. Garen didn't take it seriously either, watching the Tyrannosaurus Rex on the water in the distance emitting several small missiles with fluctuating trajectories from its chest. A yacht was directly blown into two pieces by the missile, and slowly tilted and sank in the huge red fire. Fortunately, that yacht was the one that the police drove later, not the red yacht that Galen and others were on. Scatter the flowers. The mechanical Tyrannosaurus made a cold voice. Spreading his right hand, a disc like an antenna disc was erected in the palm of his hand. The silver disc slowly opened, like a flower in bloom. The constant sound of bullets ricocheted across his body. The police officers and the previously captured unknown attackers were fighting back frantically, but they could only see sparks sputtering on the body of the Tyrannosaurus, and nothing else could be seen. No trace. The slightly larger rocket launchers and howitzers were avoided by the Tyrannosaurus's flexible movement. Laugh. The antenna dish in his palm suddenly emitted a little white light from the center. The white light soared into the sky, like a sky cannon, and exploded over the sea area, turning into a ball of white light. Garen suddenly felt a sense of danger, drew his sword with a clang, and struck with lightning. Aha! A silver arc appeared in front of him. Dang dang dang. Dense crashing sounds sounded out of thin air in front of him, and countless steel needles like hair were flying and nailed to the deck of the yacht. Garen's arm was almost completely blurred, and he could only vaguely see a gray shadow moving, and the rest was an endless series of jingling sounds. On another yacht in the distance, the nine-tailed fox's body was spinning, as if she had been prepared. A white cloth strip like a streamer formed around her body, directly pulling the large steel needle to it. Obviously, there was a powerful force on the cloth strip. Magnetic force. It was more than twice as easy as Galen's side. On the yacht farther away, the densely packed black police officers and so-called national security personnel were stunned and almost fell down. Large steel needles fell from the sky and penetrated most of the people's bodies with extremely precise accuracy. Look, this is the legendary Greymon, the nine-tailed fox's teasing laughter came over. The rainstorm dragon, this is the most powerful masterpiece of a certain vulture master. It's really amazing. Galen also sighed. I'm thinking about whether I can build something similar. He thought of a series of biochemical technologies he had mastered. If he tried it, he might be able to find some applicable parts. You'd better forget it. It's great to practice swordsmanship honestly. Where is the sword master? Do you know? This is Vulture's internal comprehensive evaluation of you. The nine-tailed fox seemed to have received new information. What's the use of that? Garen was speechless. Can you deal with the Slayer? Far from it, the nine-tailed fox simply replied, as the strongest single being in this plot world, the Slaughterer is the highest masterpiece of human killing consciousness. He can know all the swordsmanship and swordsmanship you know, even the most ancient swordsmanship. He can also master the top killing skills that have been taught to you. Even if it is a skill that you have just created, he can master it completely with just one look. He can even use it much better than you. So perverted, Garen was speechless. Of course he's a pervert. Otherwise, how could he be called a massacre? The nine-tailed fox said helplessly. That's why we are anxious for everyone to save contribution points to hire experts. While the two were talking, there were not many people still moving in the sea area. The solace of the rainstorm dragon seemed to have huge magnetism. He stepped directly on the ship wall at a 90-degree angle and boarded the yacht, and began to deal with the remaining recalcitrant police officers and resistors. Gunfire and flames continued to light up his arms. The blood on the yacht gathered together, almost turning the entire deck red. Extremely tragic. The fat police inspector tried to jump into the sea and escape on a motorboat, but was hit by a precise bullet in the back of the head, killing him on the spot. However, in just 1 minute, most of the police officers and national security officers present were killed, leaving only some red bodyguards who did not shoot, and the beauties on the yacht who were unable to resist. Your little lover is in trouble. Why don't you go to the rescue? Garen teased. Just playing with him, the nine-tailed fox said casually. Don't you know that what you can't get is always the best? She raised her chest from a distance, held one of her breasts with one hand and rubbed it. You are as bad as Kong Xingxiu, Garen breathed out, suppressing the restlessness in his heart. It's just two manifestations of one essence in different aspects. That's why we are good friends. The nine-tailed fox actually started to take off his swimsuit, found a black suit from somewhere nearby, and started to change clothes in front of Garen. With no intention of hiding his body. And she was standing at an angle that only Garen could see. Out of politeness, since it was not like touching this woman, Garen turned his head away and did not look at her. But the restlessness in my heart is getting heavier and heavier. The last gunshot was heard over there, and the Tyrannosaurus had already killed the last police officer. When he arrived in front of Red and others, the remaining people were shocked and frightened, not knowing what he planned to do. You guys, Tyrannosaurus said slowly. Dang. Suddenly, he raised his right arm and placed it on the side of his head, and a little golden sparks flew from his arm. Are there any survivors? His voice was as hoarse as the wind, and he scratched his head and looked in the direction of the shooting. There was a small cruise ship heading this way. There is a person standing on the bow of the boat. It is Yurova. Wearing tight-fitting black clothes, he looked at the tragic scene here that was like hell, with the corpses of policemen and state security officers everywhere. Standing next to Yurova was a fat businessman with a beard, looking at this side with a smile. That's him. The businessman took out a cigar and lit it. The vulture-fronted Tyrannosaurus, the rainstorm dragon. Yurova stared at the Tyrannosaurus with a solemn expression. He didn't know why he didn't feel sick or scared at all when he saw the tragic scene in front of him, but quickly got used to it with relief. The super-strong gravity bomb has basically no damage to it, but it can temporarily paralyze all of his body's firepower. You can kill this guy just by fighting hand-to-hand, the fat businessman said with a smile. Uncle Garuda, Yurova said calmly, I will ask you to take care of my sister first. No problem, feel free to go, the fat businessman nodded. I am here, and I am not alone. He turned his head and looked back at the group of bodyguards who came out behind him. Okay, Yurova jumped down and jumped into the sea. Then a motorboat pulled out from the side, and he grabbed him and turned him over to ride on it. The rainstorm dragon turned around and looked coldly at Yurova, who was driving rapidly. He stretched out his arm, and the machine gun loaded on it was ineffective. Not only the machine gun, but also all the fire control on his body seemed to be ineffective. Is it a super gravity bomb? Interesting. He strode forward, came to a spacious place on the yacht deck and stood there, quietly waiting for the other party to arrive. The super gravity bomb only has a limit of 20 minutes and will continue to decay as time goes by, so the opponent's purpose is very clear, which is melee combat. He just needs to stand here and wait quietly for the other party's arrival. It's begun. Garen and the nine-tailed fox, who had changed their clothes, had already joined together. Why does Yurova dare to fight against the rainstorm dragon? I know his fighting skills very well. He shouldn't be strong enough to defeat that guy, right? Garen was a little puzzled. Really? The nine-tailed fox smiled slightly. His arm naturally held Garen's arm. If you just think that, you will be shocked. Oh, Garen did not doubt the authenticity of the nine-tailed fox's words. He did vaguely see something strange in Yurova's posture and movements at this moment. Something he had never seen before. It seems like a new fighting technique, he guessed. The nine-tailed fox smiled and did not reply. If you add special weapons and have the same effect as the thing just now, then there is indeed a chance of winning. Garen nodded, obviously having figured out a clue. Good taste, the nine-tailed fox said with a smile. The level of the rainstorm dragon is pretty good in the plot. Her tone of voice was very high, with a condescending attitude. Among these time travelers, except for a few special ones, which one did not have their own unique attainments in various fields before coming to this world. But this is accumulated by the time and energy of the world. Garen knew that he was powerful, but as the nine-tailed fox was once the top monster, it was definitely not bad, but he didn't know how strong it was. Glancing at the nine-tailed fox, this guy seemed to be hiding a lot of information. But judging from how worried she was about the slaughterer, it was obvious that the guy was far more troublesome than imagined. At least it has risen to the level of extraordinary power. Garen also began to worry that his previous relaxation was too optimistic. He has never seen the slaughterer with his own eyes. Unlike these time travelers, he understands the general trend, that is, the so-called plot method, which is different from them. He had never seen the slaughterer in action with his own eyes, but had only seen a few scenes in general scenes, and did not have a deep understanding of its specific strength. Should we consider forcibly improving our swordsmanship by one level with soul seeds? Garen thought in his mind. Now that he saw the state of the rainstorm dragon, he also murmured in his heart. The rainstorm dragon can only be regarded as a good evaluation at this level, so how powerful must the slayer, who is feared by the nine-tailed fox and others, be able to bear the burden? Can you afford such caution? The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1173. P.S. If I want to hear more of your voices and receive more of your suggestions, search the WeChat public account Dread now and follow it to give more support to Mysterious Journey. Bang. Yureva climbed onto the yacht hanging by the claws on his arms, looking a little embarrassed. But he was dressed in black and held a short knife like a fishbone in his hand. It looked like he was quite capable with the knife. Just as he stood firm, the Tyrannosaurus raised his arms and popped out two long machetes, walking quickly towards him. Bang bang bang, the heavy footsteps became more and more urgent and faster. The machete crossed and slashed hard at Yureva, drawing two cold lights in the air. Yureva rolled sharply to avoid the double knives. It's too slow. He felt relieved. Although Garuda had reminded him before he came, this weird robot was the one who came to capture their brother and sister. In addition, he had just caused a massacre. At least 50 or 60 people could be seen at the scene. Human corpse. In his heart, he regarded the monster in front of him as a villain who did all kinds of evil. Prick. The fishbone dagger in his hand was handed forward unconsciously. The tip of the knife reached the opponent's lower abdomen, trying to get into the Tyrannosaurus's abdomen with extremely vicious intent. Only then did Yureva suddenly realize that he had used such a vicious move unconsciously. His heart was slightly startled, and his hand movements could not help but slow down. Ding! But unfortunately, the tip of the knife did stab into the abdomen of the Tyrannosaurus, but it was directly blocked by the hard body shell, leaving only a small white mark. On the contrary, the huge repulsive force transmitted back almost caused Yureva to lose his hand with the short sword. Stupid, half of Tyrannosaurus's face showed a sarcastic look. He didn't move fast, but his arms were extremely flexible, and the two machetes slashed down hard again. Bang! I saw someone slashing hard at the ship's side railing, directly cutting off the metal white-painted railing. The huge force knocked some fragments into the air and hit Yureva, causing him to frown severely. What a strong defense, he quickly backed away and distanced himself. Fortunately, this yacht was relatively large, a medium-sized cruise ship that could accommodate dozens of people, and had enough space to move around. Is this your ability? Tyrannosaurus sneered. The serial machete struck directly at him. Bang! Another railing was broken. Yureva rolled away from the place in embarrassment, with a bloody mark scratched by fragments on his face. Bang bang! Two more holes were smashed into the sloping wall of the yacht. The curved steel curled inwards, and the holes were as sharp as blades. Yureva kept avoiding the Tyrannosaurus pursuit like a monkey. The others were horrified to see that if they didn't pay attention, they would be split into two pieces by the machete, and everyone was sweating. It looks like the situation is not good, Garen said, touching his chin. The weapon poses no threat to the opponent. You can only dodge it. Once you are hit, you will immediately overtake him. There is absolutely no need for a one-on-one fight like this. Wouldn't it be better for a few more people to surround him and kill him? This brings us to the strength of Tyrannosaurus, the nine-tailed fox said lazily with his arms folded in front of his chest. The strong point of Tyrannosaurus? What is it? His power is too strong. He has to install more starting engines for power, which makes the starting speed too slow. That's why the current reaction speed is not as fast as Yureva. This is also inevitable, Nine-tailed Fox explained, but he has an advantage, that is, when dealing with enough opponents, he can just pop. What do you mean? Garen asked confused. It's just poof, the nine-tailed fox said, as if you understand. What? Please explain it more clearly. Garen was speechless. That's it? Brother Deo will kill. The wind from all directions. Suddenly Yureva roared in the distance, and the fish bayonet actually used Garen's sword skills in a swishing manner. Garen looked helpless. Just shout. There's no need to add the first 4 words. This guy. Bang. Yurewa's 4 winds only used 3 swords, and all 3 swords hit the Tyrannosaurus. Unfortunately, it still seemed to have no effect. He started to run away in embarrassment under the ferocious attack of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't believe it, Yurewa shouted. Bet on the glory of my 2 swords. You have such an honor, Garen couldn't help but burst out. The nine-tailed fox on the side covered his mouth and snickered. Dang. Yurewa's sword actually had an effect. After suffering an injury from a broken arm after being swept, Yurevar slashed hard on the joint connection part of the Tyrannosaurus. With a plop, the Tyrannosaurus fell to one knee and lost its balance. At this time, puff! A large black jet net was thrown out by the Tyrannosaurus, instantly covering all directions. The net shot up from behind him, then fell down, covering an area of more than 10 meters in all directions. Yurewa was completely enveloped in it. Zyuja, Yurewa suddenly yelled. Bang! There was a gunshot in the distance, and the big net that had not completely fallen in the air was suddenly penetrated by something like a javelin, flew towards the distance, shot out with a whoosh, and soon exhausted its strength and fell into the sea. What a risk! Yureva wiped his sweat and got up from the ground, looking at the rainstorm dragon cyborg with only one leg left. This guy looks fierce, but without the firepower, he's just a bit more powerful, so he's pretty easy to deal with. Really? Tyrannosaurus sneered. Still arrogant, Yureva became angry. You have killed so many people, do you know what you are doing? Is this how you vultures kill innocent people indiscriminately? There was a hint of sarcasm in Tyrannosaurus's eyes. Do you really think you defeated me? What do you want to do when you can't move your legs? Yureva became alert. Look left and right to prevent others from sneaking up on you. It's over half of Tyrannosaurus's face moved and his mouth opened slightly. Buzz. An indescribable violent vibration suddenly spread, facing the direction of Yurewa, spreading in circles like ripples. Is this? Yurewa felt weak all over, as if he had lost all strength, and his head felt dizzy and nauseated. With a thud, he fell to his knees, his face pale. The buzzing silent vibration was far away in the direction of Garen and the nine-tailed fox, even from hundreds of meters away. Both of them frowned slightly and felt a little uncomfortable. Infrasound, Garen whispered. Not bad, the nine-tailed fox nodded. If this were you, what would you do? Me, Garen frowned and thought for a moment. I don't think I'll give my opponent the chance to send out this kind of continuous vibrating sound wave. The nine-tailed fox smiled and stopped talking. At this time, it should be time to activate Yurevar's true power. Real power, Garen was slightly stunned. You are right. The 4 cornerstones are the only ones with extraordinary powers on this planet. You don't think they have the same ability, do you? The nine-tailed fox began to curl her long hair with her fingers again, and the ends of her long black hair were slowly curled by her. Curl it so that the ends of your hair are frizzy. Let's see. Soon. Garen nodded slowly. He also wanted to see what abilities Yureva would be activated. As time passed, Yurewa's face became paler and paler, and he sweated more and more. He began to huddle on the deck, motionless, his body shaking violently, obviously suffering from great pain. Bang! A loud gunshot rang out in the distance. It's Yureja. She held up the long-barreled firearm and stared calmly. Brother! Do you remember what Brother Deo said? She yelled, her face calm, but her eyes were anxious. Yureva huddled on the deck, and the sound of gunfire seemed to awaken his almost fainting consciousness. Brother Deodao. Scenes of memories kept flashing before his eyes, which were Brother Deo's cold teachings again and again. The scenes that flashed by quickly settled on one picture. That was Garen's gentle smile. I am Deo. That soft voice seemed to still be ringing in his ears. The background is brilliant golden light, imagination. You don't know how to run away if you can't beat me. You are as stupid as a pig. Garen's face suddenly changed. When you can't beat the enemy, a fool like you has to save his life first, even if he sells his butt. This is me as the head of the headquarters. I tell you the first rule that you need to abide by throughout your life. The end of the voice seemed to still echo in his consciousness, and Yureva still remembered his frightened expression at that time. This is so shameless. He and his sister were stunned. One sword, two swords. Do you know what the true meaning of fighting is? I don't know X2. Then we have to create a situation where the enemy is weak and we are strong no matter what. Garen looked up to the sky and sighed. Then do you know how to create such a situation? I don't know X2. Garen turned around, leaving only a majestic figure behind. That is to shock the enemy. Shocked. The so-called shock means that if your enemy takes off his pants and shocks you, then you have to take them off more thoroughly than him. Garen turned around and roared loudly. X2. Why would Mao use taking off his pants as a case study? The nine-tailed fox smiled from ear to ear. I just thought it was fun at the time. Garen also felt innocent. He didn't expect that he had caused such a big psychological shadow on the Yureva brothers and sisters. I seem to remember that since that class, the brother and sister have respectfully called him Brother Deo, and looked at him with a hint of admiration. Thinking about it now, he couldn't help but shudder. Is this the true meaning of being a swordsman? Is it to compete with others to see who is meaner? The nine-tailed fox laughed so hard that he covered his stomach and couldn't straighten up. Brother Deo. Ah. Power. Power is coming out again. Urawa suddenly stood up and roared to the sky, his voice vibrating very far. I'll wipe it. Why did it involve me again? Garen couldn't help complaining. When his name was called out on such a serious occasion, he suddenly felt blind. Tear. Urawa's clothes are bursting out. Tear. My pants are also ripped out of my shirt. Ah! A few exclamations rang out, and the women onlookers immediately shifted their gazes in embarrassment. Yureva didn't notice it at all. His skin was purple and red, and he was holding a fishbone dagger in his hand. His lower body was covered in mosaics as he rushed towards his opponent. That figure will remain in everyone's heart at this moment forever. The Tyrannosaurus was also shocked by his shamelessness, and the sound wave suddenly weakened. Urawa was delighted. Brother Deo's strategy really worked. Deep down in his heart, he was even more convinced of Brother Deo's warning about fighting. As for shame, for the sake of victory, he has left that kind of thing behind. The novel Mysterious Journey will have more fresh content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lucky draw gift for everyone. Open WeChat now, click on the plus sign add friend in the upper right corner, and search the public number Dread and follow it. Hurry up. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 1174. Everything seemed to slow down. Urawa rushed towards the Tyrannosaurus with a short knife. He obviously borrowed the power of the savior. I don't know how many people's strength and physical fitness he borrowed this time. Taking advantage of the moment when the Tyrannosaurus Rex's sound wave weakened, he took a step forward and struck the Tyrannosaurus Rex on the left shoulder with a sharp knife. Boom! There was a huge muffled sound, and the knife in Urawa's hand seemed to have some kind of special sound. Urawa activated the savior's ability to borrow from others, and finally hit the electric field static dagger hard on the Tyrannosaurus's power center. That is the left shoulder. It's all over. The Tyrannosaurus Rex slowly fell down with an unwilling look in its eyes. The sound waves are completely cut off, and without energy, everything is a castle in the air. And Yurava's muscles all over his body swelled, his skin turned purple, and a bright smile finally appeared on his face. Sure enough, the true meaning of fighting is to compare with others facing the sun. He silently remembered Brother Deo's warning in his heart. Although he didn't know that his life seemed to be turning in an unknown twisted direction. Idiot. Suddenly a cold voice came from the helicopter. The sound shook Yurava below from relaxation to tenseness again. He raised his head and saw that the helicopter that had previously transported the Tyrannosaurus had flown diagonally above him unknowingly. Sitting above him was a silver-haired man wearing a black eye patch and slowly putting on white gloves. He was wearing a dark green tight-fitting military uniform, with a slender figure and a handsome face, but he was looking at Yurava with a hint of perversion. "What a victory that makes people vomit," the man said coldly. "Let me teach you what a real battle is like." He stood up and prepared to jump out of the helicopter. Snapped. The man was suddenly grabbed by his arm by a big furry hand from behind. "I'll do it," a middle-aged man in a white coat squeezed out from the side. His long brown hair was spread over his shoulders, his face was full of beard, and he always had a smile on his face. Yindu the white coat smiled, "You have more important things to do." The one-eyed man Yindu did not resist, snorted coldly, and sat down again. The white coat gently stretched out his hand forward, with a perverted smile appearing on the corner of his mouth. "How dare you destroy my toy to this extent?" He glanced at the low-pitched Tyrannosaurus, with a trace of regret in his eyes. "I spent a lot of energy and time to complete the transformation." Doll. For a moment, the hearts of Yurava, Yurigi, and others below, as well as Reed and others who had been numbed by the successive changes, all felt their hearts sink. The monster Tyrannosaurus that almost killed everyone just now was actually just a toy of this man. "Remember my name." The man in the white coat shook his hand. "My name is Drgiotai." Puff 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 puff. In the blink of an eye, countless steel needles on the deck flew up, all heading towards Yurava. Those were the countless steel needles that the Tyrannosaurus sent flying before, and now they have become this weirdo's control weapon? Numerous steel needles, like heavy rain, were hammering into any part of Yurawa's body. "Brother," Yurigi shouted impatiently. His sister's voice had just come, but Yurawa's consciousness had already felt pain. At this moment, when he heard the voice, he knew that he had been injected with a needle. "There is no part of my body that does not hurt?" At this time he knew that this was the result of the huge gap in strength. The opponent's attack was so fast that he had no time to react. "What do I do?" In the haze, Garen's face appeared before his eyes again. "Brother Deo, tell me, what should I do? I can't be any more mean. Even if I am as mean as possible, I still can't make up for the gap in strength." At this time Garen's mouth opened. "Of course, just pretend to be dead." "That's right. Pretend to be dead." A flash of light flashed in Urawa's eyes, and he bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He slowly fell to the sky and his eyes finally closed in exhaustion. Blood flowed all over the floor. "Sure enough, I didn't immediately think of pretending to be dead. Sure enough, I'm not that cheap." When he closed his eyes, a thought flashed through Yurava's mind. As expected of the head of the headquarters, his heart was filled with reverence again. "Next time we meet, if you are still so weak and boring," the voice of the uncle in white coat sounded, "I will kill you." There was a trace of unquestionable and absolute confidence in his tone. Then there was the distant sound of the helicopter's propeller. "He's dead," the nine-tailed fox covered his mouth and said in surprise. "I'm pretending to be dead." Garen covered his face. He seemed to have taught such a good young man to become an unprecedented bitch. "It seems you passed it on." The nine-tailed fox laughed again. "Of course, both of them know that Yurava cannot die. After all, as one of the four cornerstones, even if he dies, he will at most be reincarnated and resurrected. This is the horror of the four cornerstones. Only one of the four cornerstones can absorbing their mutual strength. Inhibit resurrection. He stopped joking and looked at Yureva lying on the deck from a distance. But something is wrong, the nine-tailed fox frowned. What's wrong? Garen's grasp of the plot is far less perfect than those of nine-tailed fox. According to the plot, Yureva should explode his new ability at this time, Kuabai said softly. New ability? Yeah. An ability called Hydra. There was a trace of doubt in the eyes of the nine-tailed fox. But that's gone now. What should the original result be? Garen asked. The original result should have been that he was seriously injured by the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the rooted Dr. Giottai should not have appeared so early. Oh? Really? Garen thought of the police officers who suddenly appeared earlier and the group of people who attacked first. It seemed that they were in the same group and might be related to the nine-tailed fox, but it seemed that she had no intention of doing so. Talk about this. In addition, the Vulture's people, whether they are Tyrannosaurus or Gen Z Doctor, or even the Silver City in the back, may be rivals of the police officers and others in front, otherwise they would not directly kill people. Vultures, are they rebels? Garen asked in a low voice. How is that possible? The nine-tailed fox shook his head. I'm a little confused now. The Vultures are the largest armed organization in the Red Country. How can they go against the government? They themselves are part of the government's representatives. Since they were not rebels, why did they kill these policemen? Galen asked. This is also a situation that I can't figure out. The nine-tailed fox shook his head. Continue to observe, Garen said softly. Over there, Yurija and others soon boarded the yacht and prepared to rescue Yureva. Soon Yureva was put on clothes and brought back to the yacht. The weapons merchant Garuda and his two brothers and sisters ignored the others and left directly. He quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Okay, let's go there too. It's time to deal with the aftermath. The nine-tailed fox patted his clothes and walked out. Garen smiled and followed closely. Since the attack, there has been no news from the Yureva siblings for several days. Garen and the nine-tailed fox stayed in ZT City for 2 days before returning to Suzuran. Fortunately, Xingxiu was free to help cover up the lie, saying that Garen had gone to some temporary experiential learning activities such as a summer camp. Fortunately, Kong Yuan was very faithful to the words of his outstanding and dazzling daughter, so there was no problem. After Garen and his wife came back, they had another dinner with everyone to discuss the changes in the plot. Garen also went back alone and began to think about improving his force value. It is a bit difficult to deal with vultures and others with his sword skills. In a troublesome environment like the sea, once there is no focus, it will be very detrimental to his sword skills. Because his sword technique mainly pursues precision, the greater the deviation, the less powerful it is. And there is no good way to deal with long-distance shooting. What method should we choose to deal with such a harsh environment at sea? Garen sat in his bedroom thinking about this issue. It's best to respond with the same long-distance method. Firearms are a good choice, but guns are not always available. The best way is to dodge and then get closer. It's a pity thinking of the sea environment, it is indeed very troublesome, and it feels like that the way is very tiring. Besides, it's a bit difficult to deal with the front with pure sword skills now. If there are more than 10 freaks like the vulture Tyrannosaurus, even I will be under a lot of pressure. Garen felt that the move of erupting steel needles was a little bit so helpless. Flying all over the sky, and then combining it with infrasonic waves, he will be really troublesome. Infrasound waves can even crack city walls, not to mention his small stature. Forget it, let's just keep strengthening our sword skills. Once our sword skills have reached the level of perfect sword master, we should be able to solve the problem of frontal combat by going to the next level. The next day, Garen went to class as usual. At noon, he led a group of guys from the Unlimited Combat Club to practice martial arts. A group of people raised their wooden swords and screamed, looking like madmen and hacking randomly. Garen was sitting cross-legged by himself, thinking about something. Suddenly a dark figure blocked his light. Garen raised his head and saw that it was Yureva, who had been missing for several days. Dei. Brother Buletin Deo, I am the second sword now, and my sister is the first sword, Yureva said seriously. Okay. Sword Garen looked Yureva up and down. You haven't come to training for several days, right? Yes, Yureva's body was covered with scars and bandages, and he looked miserable. The rest of the people who were training not far away looked curious when they saw his miserable appearance. It was estimated that they would all swarm after it was over. Came over to ask clearly. Looking at your miserable state, you couldn't have been beaten by someone, right? Garen guessed. Although he knew what was going on, he had to pretend. If you're not recovering at home, what are you doing here? Brother Deo. Yureva bowed fiercely. The range of movements is astonishing. Please train me. I want to become stronger. Oh. Garen's eyes suddenly narrowed.